Hello, ladies. I want to start by saying thank you very much for coming to visit. Thank you all for your generous support, and I know how sacrificial it is. And thank you for enabling me to continue this and to encourage me to do it. And so today I want to talk a little bit about a lesson that I'm supposed to be presenting to a few ladies at a marriage retreat. And it's quite a privilege for me because I've never been to one of those. I understand that it's really relaxing and a lot of fun. And one of the things I want to talk about is the stress on people, on marriages in the Bible, and things that we don't normally hear as descriptions or examples. And let's just take the first married couple, Adam and Eve, and see what happened to them, and ask yourself if they were here today in this culture, if they would have survived, if their marriage would have survived. They were in a wonderful resort. Everything was at their disposal. They could eat what they wanted, and the husband had his work set out for him by his father and planned, and he had only certain jobs to do, and he was guaranteed of success. And his wife was content to take care of him. But they made a mistake in that they both made a decision to do something that would harm their existence there. And so their father made them leave. They lost their paradise, and then they had to work at jobs that were harder. The Bible says that Adam would have to till the ground that would only yield thorns and thistles. Can you imagine having a nice cushy job and then having to leave your home, find a new home somewhere else, and live in a land that was harsh? And how many marriages can withstand those changes? And especially going from cushy and rich to something that a little bit harder, poorer, and hard labor. And so I just wanted you to think about that, of the stresses that Adam and Eve went through losing their home, and then the subsequent problems that they had after that, and just wonder how much can a marriage take. And then we have the other couple, there are probably several couples I could draw out of the Bible that endured something. This couple is Noah and his wife. Now, here they were living in a world where probably everything was available to them. They probably had a social life. They had freedom to go places. And because the neighborhood was getting too bad, they had to move. And they had to go take up their housekeeping and put it on a boat. And they lived there together with their 3 sons and their wives, 3 in-laws, for a year. Can you imagine? My own mother lived on my father's boat with him after all the children had moved away. They decided that they would take up residence on his boat, by which he also earned his living, and they lived there for years and years. So can you imagine having to be flexible after being already grown up and your home, everything uprooted, and going to live on a boat for a year and not even knowing where you were going and what your first home would be like, and then having to start over completely. So there are 2 marriages you might want to consider that endured a lot of stress, that in today's atmosphere and today's culture probably would be very little toleration for the change of lifestyle and the change of the economy and the change in their husband's career. Might not have withstood it today. The other thing that I'm going to present, this is going to be a nautical theme, in which I show marriage as a ship, which is a protective place to be, to withstand all the wind and the waves around you, and how being on the ship, you're safe. Just like Noah and his family, they were safe as long as they stayed within the ship. And so we look at marriage as a ship, and how it provides many things for you. And one of the things we want to look at in the nautical theme is the first mate. If you consider the wife the first mate. And so I got out some research and some books. My father was a seaman. He had a boat of his own and earned his living that way, and I grew up around boats. And my father also got his captain's license, and so he had to have a first mate, which was one of my brothers for a while, or one of, someone else that he knew. And when we look at the first mate as the wife and we start reading about the responsibilities of the first mate, it's pretty amazing. The first mate does not follow the captain around and ask for permission for every tiny little thing that he has to do, or he knows his responsibilities. He is educated in them. He prepared for them. It's like a girl grows up in a home and she knows how to run a home. She knows how to be a homemaker. She knows how to look after children. She knows how to manage the finances. She knows how to do a lot of stuff. And so when she gets married, she doesn't suddenly become stupid and have to ask her husband permission for every little thing. And the way that a first mate would never dream of bothering the captain with questions about his job and every little thing. He had to also, if you want to read about first mates, I will just read you a few things. I'm from Alaska, so I found this job description for first mate in Alaska. The first mate is second in command aboard the vessel and must be capable of assuming full command should the captain become incapacitated. The captain relies heavily on the first mate to supervise and coordinate day-to-day activities of all members of the deck department and to participate fully in those activities himself. The entire crew works together as a team to accomplish the task of maintaining a safe, efficient, and enjoyable workplace, and therefore no crew member is above any work needed to be done to meet this overall goal. Primary responsibilities. With instruction and supervision from the captain, he has to become familiar with the handling characteristics of the vessel, the maneuvering, the docking, the anchoring, as well as the operation of critical systems, the electronic navigation aids, steering, dewatering, safety apparatus, etc. He must perform navigational watches while underway and safety anchor dock watches at all times. He must assist the captain with the maintenance of required logbooks according to established practice and in established formats. He must direct and supervise all members of the deck department and ensure that each understands and performs his or her assigned duties adequately. Assist captain with training and orientation of new crew members. Coordinating line handling when coming to port, anchoring, skiff launching and retrieval, deck maintenance, and safety. And you can see as you hear this, the correlation of the wife as the first mate. She has to cooperate with him in getting to shore safely, so to speak. But she doesn't have to, she's trained, she doesn't have to go and ask every little detail, nor does, if you'll notice in these descriptions, does the captain walk around following the first mate and seeing that he does his job and monitoring every move he makes. And the first mate does not go and watch the captain and monitor every move he makes and saying, you're not a good captain or what. That's not his job. They're each minding their own business. And this is one of the secrets to a contented marriage, is that everyone minds their own business. This is the way we brought our children up, wasn't it? We told our children to work with their own hands and to mind their own business. And if someone is happy minding their business, don't bother them. And don't try to manipulate them. And don't try to push other people around. And so the captain, although he is the captain, is not pushing the first mate around. The first mate and the captain are cooperating together. The first mate is not jealous because the captain is the captain. And the captain is not jealous because the first mate doesn't have the same life-threatening responsibility as he does. So let me read a little bit more. All members of the deck department contribute to the maintenance of the skiffs. Now that would be called in Australia a dinghy. The first mate supports this work and maintains skiff-related work records. You can correlate that to the housework and to keeping the house in shape, and that all the members of the family help, but the wife, being the first mate, is responsible for it and in charge of it and supervises it. The first mate assigns guides to guest activities and issues equipment such as handheld radios, fishing tackle, and bear protection. Now, you look at that in the home. We have guests in our home, and we issue them with all the things they need to be happy guests and to be safe. And it says, guide guests on a wide variety of off-vessel excursions. And so, we have guests, and the woman pretty much decides the social plan and the social agenda of the visit. And here's another thing that a first mate does, and you can kind of know how would this relate to the wife. Prepare pre-season and post-season inventory reports of supplies, gear, equipment, and stores. At the end of season, thoroughly clean and prepare fishing equipment for storage. Assist captain in preparing end of the season maintenance project. How many of you get your house ready for winter or get your house ready for summer? And then it says, must be capable of demonstrating proficiency in safe and effective handling of equipment. Must have sufficiently acute hearing, eyesight, and depth perception. Well, a woman, she has a very keen sense of smell, a very keen sense of hearing and sight. She notices every little detail of what is going on there. So the two things that I am going to emphasize in this marriage retreat that I've been invited to is to remember that your husband is also your mate, and he is a Christian and a brother in Christ. And when you remember that, it changes everything. There's no competition between you. You're both trying to help each other get to heaven. You're both trying to help each other have success in their roles. And he doesn't need to monitor everything you do, and you don't need to monitor everything he does, and you don't pick on each other and say, that's not fair. I brought in all the groceries from the car yesterday and you didn't lift a finger. Everybody does beyond what they're expected to do. And if someone is not doing what you think they could do, you pick up the slack, but you don't go around monitoring a grown man, and he doesn't go around monitoring you. And I've had some of these critics and trolls come on my blog and ask me, did you get permission from your husband to talk about that subject today? Did you get permission from your husband to write a post on that subject today? I mean, this is ridiculous. I don't go to his office and tell him what to do, and I never tell him what to preach, and he doesn't come in my sewing room and tell me what to sew, but we're both coordinate our lives to help each other succeed. And whatever, I'll go in his office and ask him if he needs anything. He'll come in my sewing room and say, can I do something for you? This is just manners and good manners. And I often heard an old saying that good manners will support a marriage better than a good income. And how much manners plays into this. So a lot of it has to do with your husband's upbringing and what kind of manners he learned. Another thing is that the desired skills and abilities of the first mate. A friendly demeanor, able to engage and communicate easily with the passengers and the crew. Now, when you think of it, your home is a ship, and everybody's safer on board. We hear about these people that they have an argument and one of them says, well, I'm leaving. Well, then they get out there and they're actually kind of homeless. So we want to keep everybody aboard the ship and solve your problems aboard the ship because you're safer together under one roof. It says familiarity with the territory and the weather conditions, history, and current events. Well, now that's interesting, isn't it? A wife, as first mate, kind of tests the air to see whether something is safe to go to, safe to take her children to, or whether the couple should participate in something, whether it's an activity or a friendship, or something that might be financially damaging to them. She's on the alert. She's on the lookout. She's trying to be a helper fit for him. She's trying to keep him out of danger. And this is what the first mate does. He warns the captain if there's something wrong, and the captain then tells him what to do or corrects it himself. So there's nothing wrong with warning your husband that something might be endangering your future and your security as a married couple. So I don't know if anyone's going to film this, but I have a lot of other things that I'm including that has to do with seafaring, such as Paul's trip in Acts 27, and the storm that came up, and how he told everyone to stay on the ship because they would be safer, and he didn't want them to get in the lifeboat because of course that then they'd really be cast out to the sea with no protection. So the theme of my speech is staying on board, and it'd be very helpful if older women would share with younger women some of the stresses that they have been through and overcome. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.